much that I even cannot imagine how would be I able to pack everything in 2 hours. But I will try to do my best. I will be concrete, without any water, just facts. Okay? So, let's go to the point about UFOs, which are actually exist. First thing that I would like to tell you, if you see UFO in the sky, it means that this UFO actually is not here. I'd like to ask to put on the first video, and after all I will explain actually what's going on. This is very old-fashioned film made by a very old-fashioned film camera. That's why it's a little bit strange looking like a video, but it gives very unusual information. Please put it on. Cassette number 1. This video is done in Siberia when a group of young people were just filming each other, and they noticed a strange object. You will see this object again.
Сейчас это ход назад. Ага, нет, это ход вперед. Все нормально. Вот он, все.
Okay.
Сейчас идет назад. Сейчас оно выплывет.
In this particular case, usually ufologists say that ETs are able, to go between atoms or something like this, but actually the situation is quite different. When you see UFO here, it is not here. It is in other dimension. We can see UFOs only because we have a very special construction of the eye. I'll try to explain what does it mean. Imagine yourself that we are living as we live, but we are in the water, okay? Water is around. You dive in the water, lay on the bottom and looking on the surface, okay? And at this moment, a bird is flying over the water. You see it, of course, but the radar system that are scanning water says nothing is here. Then the bird sat down on the water. Radar system says, yes, I see the object. This is the reason why. Mostly when somebody saw UFOs, the radar system reported that nothing actually is on the screen. We checked many cases, almost all cases, which reported that allegedly in the previous Soviet Union there were cases when UFO was shut down, and we found it fiction, because it's absolutely impossible to shut down UFO because it is not here. In 90 cases from 100 cases, UFO is in the other dimension. But there are 10 cases which I would like to point out especially. So I would put the question or idea by the different way. If you see UFO in the sky, it means they have problems. Something is wrong with them. This is the reason why you see them, because mostly they are in between these dimensions. That's why you are not able even to see them. Just an example, I can show you some, wait a minute. For example, the pictures from Mars. Put please my computer on. I get it from the office in Moscow. Please put computer on. Is no computer on? Okay. These pictures were done on Mars. And at first moment, the specialists were thinking that this is the kind of a defect. But actually, this is not a defect. This is kind of a probes or a system which are watching us, what we are doing actually here. So, okay, so I'll try to do it here. No? I don't know why. So I lost it here. Okay, so as soon as it is like this, so let's go to the other video. So usually, if UFO is okay, they try to check everything, all that's going on, so that when they are here, they would not damage environmental or people. We have a few cases, for example, when soldiers reported that they saw an UFO that landed and repaired itself for 8 hours right before their eyes, maybe 200 or 300 meters away. And at this moment, these soldiers couldn't come closer, but they very clearly saw that they're doing something with UFOs. And in 8 hours, when everything was okay, this UFO from this particular place, and disappeared, so go into the other dimension. Because if the UFO has a problems and they will try to go into the other dimension, they can take the people who are close to the UFO to the other dimension together with the ship. So this is the reason why they are very specific about it and never try to do any kind of steps like this if something is wrong with the spacecraft. But at the same time, I would like to point out and to make it very, very deeply, clearly for you that for the future, remember, if you see UFO, try not to run to it. Try not to have any kind of direct contact without their invitation. We have also in our files many cases when UFO landed with the problems. One of the cases took place in 1996. Pretty big saucer landed under the high voltage line. You understand what I mean? What is interesting, like two hands, like wires, went up, hang on the wire, and started to maybe load themselves, just recharge itself. At this moment, people who saw that UFO landed ran to the spacecraft and tried to get into contact. And the lady who were the first one and very close to UFO died in 6 months because of the cancer. Because ETs were not able to control the situation. They were in problems. Later on this year, when we have been to Sweden, we met a person who also gave us interesting information about the place called Vallentuna, where people saw very often UFOs. And from the group of 20 people, 12 of them, who were very active in running to the area, trying to see more than others, to get in contact, dead in 6 months because of the cancer. This is because UFO had problems, some technical problems. If UFO has no problems, they can invite you for the contact. If, to say shortly about abduction cases, alleged abduction cases in Russia, I'm talking about what we have. Mostly, when they invite somebody for contact, they do it only for one reason. They need your so-called hologram. This is an informational, energetic structure which we can imagine as a computer or something like this. So they take very, very quick from you. Then they need a key to read the information from you. They send in your brains like an idea, very hard sentence. For example, you are living wrong. You broke our laws. Very few people will stay alive, and fire will come from the sky, something like this. And when a person starts to think very actively, like, what's going on? This is what they need. They take it as a key to read then this hologram, and they leave person alone. That's it. They need anything more from this person. And now let's get back to the UFOs. If everything is okay, they can control the situation on a very big areas. Now I'd like to show you a video of a huge triangle UFOs that was hovering over St. Petersburg for 18 minutes. Who knows the city, maybe remember from the map or something, or the other kind of sources of information. We have a very big lake north from the city. And this spacecraft was hovering exactly over the lake on a distance about 100 miles north. It was 300 meters in diameter. And what is also interesting that this spacecraft was seen here not for the first time. He appeared here exactly over the geological rift. And this UFO was between or in between two dimensions, between our dimension and between the other dimension. A few hundred people saw these UFOs, and most of them had video cameras, and you will see something right now on the screen. But at the same time, are you ready to show it? Oh, no, you see it. It appeared exactly on 19th of February in the sky, and slightly changing the form, was hovering at one place. And now you will see in some seconds like energy collectors will be flying around him. The idea of the whole event is that these energy collectors are collecting energy from this geological rift, then fly close to the spacecraft and give this energy to the UFOs. Those people who were very close to this beach of the lake and saw it very closely say that it was looking like, you see, flying first one. And when it goes closer, it's like explode. What's going on? Please check the video. Something is wrong here. I'll try to explain by the other way. Imagine like a wind, like a glass. This ball is flying directly to the spacecraft, and then as if pancaking, like explosion. And then energy beam goes to the UFO. And by this way, the UFO is gathering the energy, reloading itself. Now you see it's clearly that it's triangle UFOs. But during this period of 18 minutes, it will be changing the shapes. At the same time, those who have, now you see down, it was a light. Those who have been in airport, and all people very clearly saw the UFO, but it was not on the screen of radars at all. At a certain moment, this UFO will disappear, like, oops, and we switched off the television, because civilian aircraft was flying very close to this object. And as soon as, by its electromagnetic field, this craft, now you see, gone. Whoops, there is no. And then, at this particular moment, aircraft is flying very close to the UFO. And next moment, in some seconds, it will appear again when it passed by. At this particular moment, there were 2 civilian aircraft, and all of them were clearly watching and see this space, and they described as a big triangle UFO. It's appeared again. It's the northern part of St. Petersburg, and now you see it's a little bit different. The triangle, first of all, hovering like this, and then like this. Here you can see maybe at least 5 or 7 lights. But those people, now you see the other ones is flying. Later on, you will see more, these collectors flying to a spacecraft, and they will be more visible, more clear visible. Actually, everything is okay with this huge triangle UFO. Oh, you see? Like it explodes. So this, because some of them were flying horizontally, like this. Some of them were moving from spacecraft directly down to the surface of the water, and then back, an explosion. Those guy was very clever. He put a binocular to his camera and tried to make it use it as a zoom. And now you see, yes, the hand is shaking, but somehow we can see that there are around 7 or 8 big lights. But those who were close, they reported 18. So underneath of this spacecraft was 18 lights. Another one, you see, flying. And what is amazing particular case, not so far from the place where UFO was hovering, there is a small city. A lady decided to have a bath. She was alone at home, and it was pretty cold because this is a winter, a Russian winter. Now you see another one flying there. So she puts on gas stove to make more heat in the flat. And she tried to put on all heating machines and went to a bath. She lay to a bathtub, and then in some minutes she felt that this is not enough heat called for her. And she decided to switch on or to put more heat in electrical stuff. And when she touched this device, she got a shock, very strong shock. At this particular moment, she says, I thought about my son only, that very soon he will be back home and he will find me here dead, lying in this bath. At this particular moment, when she thought very strongly about it, some kind of a power drew off electric wire from the socket, and this device flew away in another corner of the flat, and she lost the senses. In some minutes, she found herself lying on the floor. When she came to her senses, stood up, and she says, I saw that gas stove is switched off. All electrical instruments are off, and all watches, mechanical and electrical, stopped at one time. It means that the ETs being on this spacecraft were controlling the situation around. They somehow noticed that the things like this is going on with her, and they saved her life. And we have many cases and reports giving us the stories approximately like this, when it is just, let's say, for free, saving the life of the people if something is going on very close to them and there is no problem with UFO. Another one, you see a flying. So maybe within the following next seconds you will see another one is flying. So they are reloading. So it's just normal situation for them when they are hovering over this place and just gathering energy to go into the other dimension. Thanks. We can stop this video. And just to go to another one, just to position. So by this very short and simple case, I'd like to show you that when UFO is hovering, they are controlling situation, but at the same time they can control situation in much bigger, I would say, range. We had some UFO crash cases in Russia. And I'd like to show you now one video from this crash site. It's unusual case, absolutely unusual, because you will not find there any pieces of UFOs, but you will see how they act when is something wrong with their spacecraft. All the time when we have been investigating UFO crash sites, we found one and the same thing. Exactly 1 second before spacecraft will explode or will be destroyed, they transmit the power of explosion into the other dimension, so that the people on the planet would not be harmed. That's why I'd like to ask you to put the second section and to give you a brief view what kind of a destruction took place in the city. This city called Sasovo, 500 miles south from Moscow. In this city are living, no, you just missed. It was right after that piece. In this city are living approximately 300,000 people, something like this. The whole event took place at 1:34 a.m. in the morning. 2 hours before, a lot of people reported huge UFO hovering over the city. It was a ball of light. Just to understand how big it was, if you direct your hand and make it like this, so the UFO was approximately 20 centimeters, like this, very big one. It was hovering over the city and moving very, very, very slowly. Then, like this, it went out of the city. Approximately 20 minutes before explosion, militaries, policemen, and the people reported 2 red, like let's say balls, flying over the city. And then, right before the explosion, this spacecraft, this big UFO, was flying horizontally, like this, and then suddenly fall down. And it falls down in the middle of the city. Unfortunately, did you find the place, my friend? No? It was right the first... I'm sorry, wait a second. It was... right after it. Go on. Can you see it? Stop. Go on, go on, go on, go on. After this. No, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. Oh, shit, okay. Shit. Oh, make it. Strange. Okay, so I'll do it like this. I'm sorry, my friend, something is wrong with this thing. So I'll try to explain just by words. So in the middle of the city, there is a big, like a field, very empty one. The UFO went down in this area, and people reported a huge, terrible explosion. What is interesting, before, there was a sound as if jet fire crossed the speed of sound, like in a tube, then explosion, and again the same type of the sound. In the middle of this field, next morning, we have found a huge crater, 28 meters in diameter, 3.5 meters deep. All windows in the city went out of the windows. It means that the explosion was vacuum. In this particular case, all of the people should be dead. No one even scar happened. The windows were broken in a very special manner. One window broken, one not. Floor is broken, floor not. One building with broken windows, the other not. Doors flew away, just empty holes. In some flats, ceiling went up. It means it was a terrible explosion, but no one is dead. The soil from this particular place, big pieces, like maybe 2 meters, like 2 meters cubes, something like this, were thrown away 300 meters from the crater and laid exactly on the ground, because soil is very soft, very, very soft. So if you just imagine technically that you need to throw this piece 300 meters away, you need to take it up at least 1 mile up. Then it falls over there and will be absolutely destroyed because it falls from the pretty high distance, okay? No, it's just laid like this and nothing happened. When we simply calculated the volume of the ground that should fill up this crater, 40 per 50% is away, is not here at all. Soil went out like this, all trees gone the other direction. It says about one thing. Right before the UFO crashed, they took all the power into the other dimension, and I'm trying to find the right word for this, compensate all the other powers and these destroyable waves, so that we see the things like this. But what is very interesting in this particular case, that This one is exactly UFO crash. And we had some like this in the different parts. But we also know that ETs are making kind of experiments at the same time. For example, what kind of experiments? To go from one dimension to another and to find yourself in exact place where you want to be is not so easy. You understand? So they are continuously experimenting. And next year, at the same area, only 6 miles away from this crater, there was another explosion, but smaller one. And what is interesting, today we have heard the presentation about crop circles and how the grasses are moved or laid in spirals. The same took place with the ground. They took the soil out and thrown it around in a spiral like this. And here we made one very interesting experiment. And I'd like to share it with you. It's a trick which actually can be used by those ones who is investigated crop circles. In our laboratories and on the fields, working in the fields, we also came to understanding that there is a kind of energy that is influencing people on the place of UFO landing, crash site, or crop circle construction. And we have got an idea. If this energy is influencing human organism, how it will be influencing electrical devices. For this reason, we took a Russian microcalculator number 61. It is pretty simple, old-fashioned machine. I'll show you this machine. Please put on my computer. This simple machine is programmable. The idea was we put in program like a test to test the speed of this machine. We checked it at home and it was working okay. Then we came to the site, put load in program, check it, it works. Then we did it again. Load program, go into the crater. Tried to check, it doesn't work, no program. And another program is loaded in. Strange thing, we get out of the crater, reload program, test it over there in the nearest forest, it works okay. We go inside again, try to make a test, no program, another one. And then we have got a very simple but amazing idea. We noticed that in the cells of memory there are different numbers, okay? We did a very simple thing. We took a paper and put it like this, you see. MK, memory unit cells. On the other hand, the numbers which we found in the cells. And when we put it on the paper, we saw the star map. So they left a trace showing exactly where or from which system did they come from. Why I'm talking about exactly? Because one of the system here, Canis Minor, were marked by special sign, additional sign. In ancient text, Canis Minor mentioned at the center of the cosmic civilizations. So it's a very simple way, but we found a possibility, thanks, to have just an idea, to find out where did they come from. So I'm sharing it with you because maybe you can do also doing your investigations and gathering the information, we can come to a certain understanding and knowledge. Now we're absolutely sure that anywhere UFO represents itself, and especially if it goes to the other dimension, and as for us, as for the people working in our, we call it system, we are absolutely sure that this structure that we call crop circles is formula schema of transition from one dimension to another. If you will try to make photos, but in a special way, like we did it, we usually, if we are investigating any UFO site or crash site, we make a filming during the night when it's absolutely dark. We take old-fashioned photo cameras with a short focus distance. This is important moment, short focus distance. And if you will be making pictures with this camera, you can see or you will find a strange energetic, like spheres, strange constructions, which are giving much more ideas about how it looks like, not like plane construction, it's a three-dimensional construction actually. So by these cases, I'd like to show you briefly that all the time when ETs are here, they are controlling the people, they are controlling the situation, trying not to harm the people. And by this way, they are acting all the time, all the history that, or which you can imagine, they are helping us like this. So now, I'd like to make a step back. But we will do the step back in some 1,000 years ago through the information about Planet X, because now I have heard that you are very interested in discussing this subject. We are also working over this project, and I tell you truthfully that this problem, or this is one of the biggest headache of our department. Actually, what you call 10th planet is situated directly behind the Sun on the same orbit as the planet Earth. Directly. And as I told you that I'll try to be very short and giving you just brief information. We find out exactly that this planet exists by many reasons. First of all, scientific. When our astronomers calculated moments of the mass, moments of the orbit, and many, many other things, they came to a strict conclusion that our solar system consists of two systems. Exactly, two. And one system, this is the Sun that we know, the Mercury, Venus, Earth, and then the others, Saturn and the other planets. And that second half of the solar system, on the same orbit as we have here, I mean Earth, they have two planets. It's the first reason. But we just know about one, but actually there are two. When we went into archives, we were astonished, but we found that first time Giovanni Domenico Cassini, astronomers from Paris, officially registered a strange object, a planet, appeared from behind the Sun on 1666 on 18th of August. It was semi-lunar object, 1/4 part of the moon in size. Not so, if you just look at the sun, not so far from the Venus. It means that this object is very, very big one. Then Domenico Cassini again saw this planet on 1672. Right after him, on 1740, another astronomers, short, officially registered, this planet appeared again from behind the sun. Then on 1759, Meyer. On 1761, Montaigne. And on 1764, Rotker. And then this planet went back, so it's behind the sun. If someone have been here during my presentation on 1998, I was mentioning about discovery that were done in Russia, and which is actually our second biggest headache. This is so-called installation that was found in Yakutia. Now I'll show you the map of the country. Please put on computer. This is Baikal Sea. You see it? This is Siberia. This place is a huge area, approximately 100,000 square miles, where nobody is living. Nobody at all. And we found there an installation. And now I'm giving you just ideas, just information, sorry. So this installation shut down Tunguska meteorite. That's why people, scientists, were not able just to imagine what actually took place on 1908. Then this installation shut down, and hundreds of people saw it. The following meteorite, it took place on 26th of February 1984. And this event was scientifically registered when so-called bolide, it was a bolide that was flying the same direction as the Tunguska bolide. And when it came approximately to this area, I'll show you it here, people reported that in this area, 2 fireballs, huge fireballs, just departed from the Earth. First one, and then second one. Fly directly up to the sky, met the meteorite, and it was a huge explosion, and we found nothing. Again, we found dust. If you remember, when geologists and scientists were trying to find any pieces of Tunguska meteorite, they found nothing, only powder and kind of a strange, let's say it's powder. The same case here. Last time this installation was shooting between 24th and 25th of September last year. And this is not the question whether it exists or not, because we are watching this installation already a few years, how it works. We made a few expeditions there, trying to get closer, because we know exactly that some metallic pieces, something very interesting, is laying right on top of the Earth. But when we came there on 1997, and we came deeply into the forest, it calls taiga, we have been reported that, first of all, animals start to go out of the forest. And strange radiation, so-called scalar radiation started to rise up, higher, higher. We immediately moved, because if you know what is it, scalar radiation, it's, you cannot hide from it. What we did at that time, we just spoke with hunters living maybe far from that place, but they're living all the life there. We spoke with those people who were there by any reasons, working there. For example, this guy, Mikhail Koretsky, he was there 3 times when they were searching for gold in this territory. And he pointed us on the map 3 places where he has seen a strange metallic objects. Now I'll just give you ideas. These pictures was done by hunters and by Mikhail Koretsky. He says that this is something like a parabolic antenna, actually maybe 60 meters in high, mostly in the ground, only 1/5 part over the ground. And you can move in sitting on the deer. So the metallic inside is black, upside is red, very strong. And when somebody tried to shoot from a rifle, no any traces were left on the surface. Such an object. This is not mountains. This is the strange hills. They are very spherical, approximately 100 meters high. There were 7 of them at that territory. You had something like this. When we came there and tried to local people to bring us to that territory, they said no, it's absolutely impossible, because this territory is forbidden to visit by their predecessors. When we tried to find out what's the reason, they explained, and we also understood that all the people who came to this territory, for example, during the winter, cold winter, where outside is -60, they tried to hide yourself in such things they found there. It is very warm inside. All that people who has been inside more than 6 days died from cancer immediately within the 3 months. So they just afraid of this place. Such things over there. But I'd like now to give you the most interesting aspect of the problem. And I'm, by this showing these small pictures, just trying to bring you very close. We tried to understand, on the other hand, who did it. Because we're absolutely sure this is a very ancient thing. Maybe 12,000 years ago was constructed. And our scientists, they helped us to understand who did it. Unfortunately, we have not here the paper, so I'd like to explain with the help of my hands. If you imagine, this is the pure science. If you imagine a sun, for example, and the planet Earth, I just try to use the same picture that I used before, then it will be more visible for you. Okay? The sun and the Earth. In this system, there are so-called librational zones or librational points. This is the places where you can put any object, and if you just give a slight push to this object, it will be flying in this particular place together with the planet Earth forever. Usually cosmic dust, different debris, everything that is flying in the cosmos, gathering in such so-called libration points, forming in milliard years of planets in the different cosmic objects. There are 2 types of so-called librational points. Stables, triangulars. So if you see, this is the sun, this is the planet Earth. Before, along the orbit, and back behind the Earth, 60 degrees forward and back. 2 points are very stable. And there are 3 unstable points. 2 between Earth and the Sun, and the 3rd one exactly on our orbit behind the Sun. And this explained us immediately that those who is living there, their planet is in unstable position. And if any big asteroid or meteorite will hit our planet, that one behind the sun will fall out of the orbit. And they made or constructed this installation here. So now by this way, we came to a strict conclusion, thanks, that they use it for a very special reason. On one hand, they saved themselves, but on the same time, they saved us too, because now we may not be afraid of any huge asteroids which can allegedly hit the planet and we can get problems. No, this installation is working. And actually there are two installations. One is in Russia and another one is very close to America. Very close to America. You even cannot imagine how close. Yep. Okay, just an area. This is Eastern Island. So this catastrophe, actually, all the things are very closely connected with catastrophe that took place 12,500 years ago. And again, now I'll try to show you, and you will see that it is next time saved our life. Maybe for somebody, it's the question, did, for example, Atlantis exist or not? Did we have this catastrophical event when the huge asteroid hit the Earth and Atlantis disappeared and some other places or areas of the Earth went down out of the water? But we found a scientific proofs in ancient Egyptian texts about this. And one of the most interesting texts is so-called Dendera Zodiac. Do you know what is it, Dendera Zodiac? Wait a second. No, wait. I'm trying to find where it is. Oh, yeah. So, oh my gosh, it seems to me I missed it somewhere. But in any way, I'm sorry for this short delay, but okay, it is here. This is Dendera Zodiac. Please put on my computer. You see it like, and actually it is familiar for you. I do not know what do you think about it, but our specialists, they were working about or over this Dendera Zodiac for 6 years. And there are actually 5 of such zodiacs. And investigating them, we found a proof of two important things. First of all, look, this is ecliptic line. And on ecliptic line, we see a Cancer, and right after the Cancer goes Liar. And now look here. Lion, and over his head is a Cancer. It means that 12,500 years ago, it was a time shift, like a hit. And time were changed. Actually, our calendar that we use now is incorrect. We lost 2,000 years. Working over this very interesting, I don't know how to call it, material, we drag out one very interesting formula, an idea. Our planet is a living organism, and you know about it. It is breathing. And this breathing has a period. Actually, this is like a heart beating. This breathing is giving an impulse to everything living on our planet. Nothing can live beyond or in distortion with this rhythm. The formula that we dragged out of it showed us that the period of this pulsating of the planet is exactly 40 or 54 minutes. 54 minutes. Breath in, 54 minutes. Breath out, 54 minutes. The whole cycle, 108. And now, I'd like to give you this, because this number is absolutely phenomenal. The length of the base of Pyramid Menkaure, like this. Pyramid of Khafra, you see the same numbers. Khnum Khufu, Cheops pyramid, the same thing. If you go, for example, to Buddhism, you will see that 808 is a sacred number. On 31st of December each year, the bells ring 108 times. Why? They knew that this is the most important thing. Everything should be tuned exactly on this pulsation, on this rhythm. And what amazed us when we have been investigating, that in our solar system, there is only 2 positions, calendar of 360 days, when our planet is breathing with a period of 54 minutes. And another place when the asteroid hit the planet and the planet moved from the orbit, and our calendar became not 360 but 365 days, much longer. Somebody, nobody knows who, just grabbed the planet, took a moon, dragged to the planet Earth, increased the mass, and fixed the planet exactly at the same place where the pulse of the planet Earth will be 54 minutes. It's absolutely amazing, because it cannot happen just by itself. And investigating all these materials, we came to a strict conclusion that ancient pre-Egyptian history, I mean the Hierophants and those people who lived long before them, they were in a close contact with ETs, because we see that these very important parameters are embodied in absolutely everything that you can see, for example, in Egypt. In pyramids, you know, try to imagine, you are the Hierophants, okay? 12,500 years ago, catastrophic event, our planet moves away from the orbit, and at this particular moment, they realized that they need to recalculate absolutely all cycles, because they were so clever. They used knowledge about cycles, because period of rotation, everything is affecting planet, human beings. Actually, we cannot develop ourselves, our consciousness, our human abilities, if you do not take into account these cycles. So within the few, maybe 100 or 200 years, they had to recalculate everything and to build up necessary constructions like pyramids to synchronize our energetical and physical bodies with this, on one hand, the same impulse, this vibrational giving tone for everything, which we call eigenfrequency, own vibration frequency, individual frequency of the earth, and to the other cycles which are very important for our health. They did it with the help of these things that I just mentioned, because at the beginning Bob told me, or told to you, that I'm looking pretty young. Yes, I use this knowledge on continuous basis. We spent 11 years for close investigation of the pyramids, and we have got much, which I would be very happy to share with you, but we are very limited by time today. That's why I'm inviting you for cooperation. I am talking this not from my own name, but from the name of my colleagues from Security Academy, National Security Academy, that you are more than welcome. And to share with you this knowledge, how you can keep up your health if you know what is important actually, I mean all surroundings, that processes that are taking place in environmental. And one of the things that is actually very, very useful, I'd like to see, this is so-called, this instrument that they use. It was later called the Wands of Horus. It's cylinders. In the ancient times, they were done by copper, zinc, gold, and silver. If you take, for example, the parameters of the thing, if you take a length and divide it on the diameter, it's exactly 5.4. We have been astonished. Reading the text, we just took out, we saw very important mentioning. If any person wants, but it must be done like this, develop your abilities, you should synchronize your energetical system with the energetical system of the earth. We have been astonished, but it's said that in life-born hierarchy of the universe, planet Earth is our mother. Not cosmos, planet Earth born us here. That means that we have absolutely equal construction that planet Earth. You have physical body, planet has physical body. You have so-called 7 energetical bodies, and planet have the same energetical bodies. But what is important? You are living here, and we all think as we thought before. So if you want to develop yourself, you need to go step by step, doing one thing, then when you finished it, you go to the other thing, okay? Right? It's a normal thing. They said, wrong. Wrong. If you do it like this, you for sure get into the problems. You, or all of us, we need to synchronize the vibrations of our first energetical body, second energetical body, and third energetical body, exactly with the first, second, and third energetical body of the Earth momentarily, at once. Not one by one, at once. And it can be done only with the help of the instrument which is using quartz inside. Because quartz has so-called piezoelectric. So this is copper and zinc. Inside is the quartz. When you take it in the hands, you have 1.5 volt between them immediately. When this difference of potential appeared on top of the crystal and on down part, the crystal lattice starts to vibrate. Here we have projections of hypothalamus and hypophysis. It's easy to test. You can do like this and just turn to God. Like you can do something and you will feel like a pressure here. Because here we have a projection of the hypothalamus and hypophysis. And now I'll just wait a moment, I'll show you one picture, very important one. Look, this one. You see? This picture was done on the landing place. UFO was here, and when next day we came here for just testing the areas, some people living in the nearest place came to the, and we just made a few pictures by simple, as I told you, very simple old-fashioned cameras. And when the films were developed, we saw these strange beams over the heads. This is the beams are projection of hypothalamus in hypophysis. And this is the reason why ancient pharaohs had this strange corona over the head. It's a concentrator of this type of the energy, which actually has projections here. So when you have the cylinders in the head, in the hands, and we have this different of potentials, then immediately all signals that are sent for corrections by hypothalamus in hypophysis go into the resonance with the quartz and increased in power. It means all your energetical, etherical, electromagnetical field of the body starts to vibrate with the signals sent by hypothalamus and hypophysis and amplified. This is the reason why, now you see, I can show many pictures, ancient Egyptian pharaohs, they always used this instrument. And if you look on any statues, you will see that they use the same thing. This is what we found in New York Museum. This is the box God Thoth. He also has in the hand this cylinder. It looked like this. And as soon as we came to this very interesting moment, you have seen this picture, right? And I'd like to give you an idea what is this. How do you think? What is this? I'm sorry that I'm asking you a question, but it's so interesting and exciting. When we read the text, we came to understanding what is this. Because if you ask any official Egyptologist, what is this? They say, ancient Egyptian priests, they were stupid enough, they cannot explain the natural phenomena, different types, and they tried to name it as a god. So they can't explain why wind is blowing and the other things. I think you understand what I mean. In reality, this is most important thing, because this is the beginning of the knowledge that is giving us idea about constructional unity of a human being and the universe. By this picture, ancient Egyptian priests and hierophants told us that the human being has 9 energetical bodies. You see the human figures written here or drawn here not because they were so simple and they thought that the God's in the human body. They told like this, that all is described here has close connection to the human body. This is the reason. So, the God, atom, is the 9th energetical body of the human being. All of you, through this 9th body, has direct contact with the God. Now you see on top a female figure covered with stars. Nut. It means that our 8th body is the universe. This is the reason why we can sometimes feel something that is going on long distance, maybe on the other planet. Not because any electrical particle flying through the universe with an immense speed, reading information, then come back, hit your brain, and you have this information. It's because your 8th energetical body is the 8th energetical body of the universe. Through this, it's very clear that we all actually connected to a God through all bodies, and we are equal. It means that you the same as me, and through your eyes God is looking on me. This is the fundamental knowledge which is actually embodied everything in the pyramids too. And this is the reason why all the instruments, like metallic cylinders of the pharaoh that you just seen here, this one, for example, I showed you before, they are working. The pyramids, made of stones, huge constructions, and they are working. They are like thinking something. Why? Because, and you know about it, kind of a golden section is used to construct this pyramid. In reality, if you use a golden section, it means that if you go into the pyramid or into the temple, it can be in general position be tuned on your human energetic structure. If it's not used, I mean the golden section, it cannot be tuned on you. If it's used, then this is easily tuning on you, and when you come in, you feel like it starts to communicate with you, to somehow influence your body, and you have a very important result. This instrument starts to synchronize your system, and kind of another abilities are opened. You start to see the world by the different eye. You start to feel deeper, and all extra abilities can be realized only by one way: when you synchronize yourself with the energy structure of the earth. And all this was done with the help of this instrument. That's why ancient Egyptians, they were very specific investigating the things, and I'm absolutely sure that all this knowledge was received from extraterrestrials as the whole. Because what we just spoke about this pulsation of the earth, because up till today, the science think that this period is approximately 58 minutes. They just tried to find out it according to experience. But when we have been working with the texts, we found out that it's 54 minutes, and this is very important affecting us, pulsation moment, which giving us idea that somebody is always controlling us, helping us, until a certain time. And this certain time is very close. Checking the all processes that are going on around us right now, we see that the cycles will be changed within the following 50 years. It means that no longer than in 50 years, most part of the system constructed 1,000 years ago by ETs start to become more weak. Pyramid will be not so effective anymore. That were constructed according to these cycles. Everything should be recalculated again. So we are together with us at the very important moment. And this is one of the reasons why I'm here. We are ready to share with you all this knowledge so that what you have in your hearts, what you have in your mentality, if we put together, we can prepare ourselves. And it's very possible that all that negative possibilities that are in store will not happen. It is very possible. That's why thanks, friends, for this. I think I could speak longer and longer and longer, but time is limited. Unfortunately, I do not know English so good as I know Russian, because for sure in Russian I would give you much more information in a certain way, but I promise I will do it better, and Lazana will help me, I hope, okay? And step by step, we are ready, I mean the National Security Academy of Russia, we are ready to share with you this information on a continuous basis. If you are interested in any kind of cooperation, now I'll give you our email address. So in case you have any kind of question, any kind, please put on my computer. Please send us what you think your question. We will answer when we can. And also, this is the invitation to our cooperation. The address which is down, this is UFO Navigator. This is UFO, let's call Internet magazine that we publish twice a month. Now still in Russian language, but in the nearest future, maybe in a couple of months, it will be in English. But from here, you can have all links to all our sites, and you can very easily find us. So send here an information, or you can use my direct email, which I'll now pointed out for you. This one is my email. Oh, so Horus, sorry, I just made a mistake. Horus, like this. I hope that in spite of all difficulties, I was able to bring you information in a certain way that you just get an idea of actual daily presence of ETs here. They do not manifest itself openly by very special reason, but they are about for this, and they are waiting, and I'm talking to you truthfully, they are waiting a certain step from us. So again, I'd like to tell you thanks for that you are here, and that I had a possibility to share with you one of the small piece of information that we are giving to our students. You have been as if our students today. And you are invited for cooperation of any kind, especially if you are interested. We now ready to give you information about hieratic, or if I'm right in English, hieratic school. Is it all right? Said hieratic school. We have been in information, learning 11 years what made ancient Egyptian priests and hierophants so knowledgeable. So, you understand what I mean? They had unusual potentials. And we were lucky to understand not only the instrument that I meant, because they used this instrument on continuous basis. And I tell you that medical instruction to use this instrument is 200 pages. Can you imagine? But it works great. This side, the Wands of Horus, this is the first part of the book about this Wands of Horus. Very soon it's going to be almost 500 pages book in English language published there. Welcome for cooperation, and thanks for your attention, my friends. Oh yeah, I was told that I have 30 minutes for questions. I thought that I already ate everything. My friends, come back. If you have any, please.
Yes, I like the fact that you did this study on the vibration of the Earth there, the 54 seconds.
Minutes.
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 And there was a man that was talking about the heartbeat of the Earth, vibration that the Earth puts off, and it matched with the pyramids. It was 47.5 or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But he said that that vibration was slowing down exponentially. Can you speak on that?
No, it's not vibration is slowing down. As I mentioned, it already happened 12,500 years ago that somebody saved our life, because every living creature cannot live and exist here if this vibration, eigenfrequency of the Earth will be changed. Immediately everything will start to die. No. For example, our planet is breathing. We call it breathing, okay? But it flies around the sun with a certain period. It has an angle, you know, how it moves for 25,920 and many other things. These cycles are changing. These ones, not the eigenfrequency. Eigenfrequency is forever. It's one and the same. But the other cycles, for example, 4-year cycle, 12-year cycle. Maybe you just didn't notice one very important thing was actually described here. We are living under the pressure of so-called 4-year cycle and 12-year cycle. And what is important that we, for example, I can give you just a short idea if you allow me. Let's go from the beginning. If you remember or you know the history, 1901, 04, 09, 13, 17, it's a revolution. Then 21, 25, 29, 32, 33, you remember 33? Hitler came to the power. 37, important year. 41, war started. 45, finished. And so on. And we go exactly to 2001, when all this happened here in America.
George Van Tassel, who was one of the first people that started the UFO movement, had contacts with extraterrestrials that beamed into him. And remember, one of them had mentioned the pyramid and gave all the dimensions of the pyramid. And he said, if you will note that all these dimensions, if added and reduced to a single digit, would equal the number 9. And you know, 5 and 4, of course, equals 9. 108 equals 9. He said at the end of the tape, and I was already adding all the numbers up. So he said, if you will note that all these equal the number 9, because number 9 is the key to the secret of magnetics.
You have seen 9 bodies, for example. The chemical table for Mendeleev, 9 levels. You will see everything 9. This is the reason why.
In numerology, it also goes up to 9.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to mention, too, is about the word pyramid. It means pyramid. It means fire in the middle. And the sun rod and the moon rod that were used by the Egyptians, what I found out is that actually the sun rod is a magnet, and the carbon rod, I have a copper-coated carbon rod, is the moon rod. I have Kirlian photographs that actually, when held like this, where the sun rod is, which is actually the magnet, it's white light, okay, like the sun. And then where the carbon rod is, you see a rainbow of color, all the colors of the rainbow, coming up to the carbon rod. And then 5 minutes later, another picture is taken. Now you see white light over here, and then you still can see a faint swirl, because don't forget, energy is always in a rotation, up to the carbon rod. But the whole aura becomes much whiter. And even with the pyramid, when you put a pyramid on your head, the word fire in the middle, pyramid, there's actually a fire that will come down in the apex, which is this middle, and it will lighten your body. And the photographs that I have actually prove that this creates this enlightenment, and that the more you use the pyramids or the sun rod and moon rod, people with fibromyalgia, neuropathy, all kinds of aches and pains, back pains, when holding the sun rod and the moon rod, like you're talking about the wands of Horus, actually got rid of back pain and various ailments, whatever.
Yeah.
See?
I tell you that at the beginning, they used the wands with a quartz. But the history of the cylinders, let's call the wands of Horus, with carbon and actually metal, like a steel, for example, it's a long, long history. And the same thing, I'll try to bring the forward idea. Do you remember that when you're reading the ancient texts, Plateau figures like a cubic system, you remember this strange, yeah, like multi-angled just structure, geometrical structures, cubic system, and then 12-grain system, and something like this. Okay, I'll just give you the main idea. They used carbon and magnetite, which actually is a steel, only because of the one reason, because the crystal lattice of these minerals is exactly cubic. We have a lot of carbon inside of the Earth, and our core of the planet is made of metal, right? This is the reason how they synchronized yourself with the planet. You see? Synchronization with the planet. At the same time, if you take any illness, and try to look at the beginning of the illness, what's going on, what is it starting from? Changes of vibrations. Energy channel here, or heart. First of all, vibrations are changed, and then ears can come, and later on the physical level, you can have a problem. Ancient knew about it, and they used the wands of Horus with the quartz, which actually vibrating, and when hypothalamus and hypophysis is dictating a vibration, correcting the vibration, then synchronizing yourself with the earth vibration, you correct all the disturbances here and start to feel much better, because this is like a radio transmitter. If it's tuned wrong, it means wrong vibration. The sound is very bad. But when you tuned it exactly, the sound is perfect and loud. The same with the human organism. When you have this wrong vibration in a certain system, you feel yourself tired, so not good. Just when But you need for this only 2 weeks. We know exactly, if you take a cylinder with a quartz, and we did it, I did it myself, and you go, for example, to the sea, and you keep it all the day long, you sleep with them, you only just put on the table, eat, and then took them again, you go to the forest with them, you go to the water, salty water with them, in 2 weeks, your energy system is absolutely stabilized. And what I, for example, personally had in exchange, inside of me, harmony. I was just absolutely calm, absolutely. And ancient text says, it's concerning Pharaoh and ancient Egyptian, Hierophant. Before they go to pyramid to talk with the god, they needed to fasten, to clear body, and to stabilize nervous and emotional system. Just what we have, I told. Listen, 12 days, and you feel inside absolutely stable. And only after this, when your system is synchronized, you can go to the pyramid, and they did, and they talk to the god. So they had contacts.
I'd like to get back to a point that I think you made earlier, that you proposed that there was a planet in Earth's orbit on exactly the other side of the sun.
Yeah, yes.
If so, because the Earth's orbit is not perfectly circular, but slightly elliptical with a small eccentricity, then it means that when the Earth is at aphelion, this other planet would be at perihelion, and moving quickly while the Earth is moving slower, and so should slew around and at least wiggle back and forth a little bit, so that a couple of times a year at least you ought to be able to see it.
You're absolutely right. This is the reason this planet is always just moving back and forth. If you're sitting here, look on the sun.
So where are the observations that it is there? It should be every year. You ought to be able to see this.
Not every year. Not every year.
Well, it's
for
on
example,
the same orbit, 'cause you go around once a year.
I understand. By the way, it's a very good question. It's a very good question. According to what was detected in 1666, for 70 years at that period, this planet appeared and gone back, appeared and then gone back. And now we are inside of our group. We're absolutely sure that if everything will go on like this without any interference from ETs, within this 10 years, no longer, not in 10 years, I want to point out, within 10 years, we will see this planet. And we meet our predecessor, because we are sure that this planet is inhabited by those who lived on Mars before the orbit was changed. What we don't see behind the sun, this is 600 diameter of the Earth. It's a very big distance. And it moves there to and fro. But at the same time, I tell you that we have, on a continuous basis, a strange influences on our planet and on the other planet of the solar system. Example, astronomers noticed long ago that each 4 years, 4-year period or cycle, for example, the Venus moving along the orbit starts to run slower. At the same time, Mars starts to run faster. 2 planets, Janus, I just remember this name is in Russian, Janus and Pimeti, they moved around the Saturn, changed its orbits. And the new flaw, actually El Nino, you know them, appeared on the Earth. It can be only by one reason: when a very big mass is influencing us. And this is the reason why I just mentioned that we are in store of changes of some cycles, because we will meet them very soon. And we should be prepared for this, because I tell you now, they are much more developed than we are. We have a technical direction of development which is actually great. They have paranormal development. I think you don't know such an, for example, a moment, comets. There are a few comets flying inside of the solar system. Do you remember the comet called Alan Aren? No? It took place on 1956. Very short description. This comet suddenly appeared from behind the sun. In the tail of this comet, a radio transmitter was working on the waves of 30 meters length. Bam, bam, bam. Then, when this comet flew farther from the sun, this transmitter just departed, changed the wave to a 10-meter wave and went behind the sun. What's that? Tell me. It's not your problem that astronomers are never giving you idea that there were some comets, strange one, which appearing from behind the sun, starts to fly like this. Appeared from behind the sun, then flies to the Mars, make a cycle, then to the Saturn, make a cycle, to the Jupiter, make a cycle, and so on. Can you imagine that the comet is flying like this? We Russians in 1988, we sent a first probe. You remember Phobos? He flied. On the first part of the way, he was making films of the sun. He did exactly 140 pictures. And when it moved in the position of 141st picture and saw it, was taken from the orbit. Technically, we lost it. You should know about that. It's a history. Yeah. We sent the second probe in 5 days, Phobos 2nd. This time, we were more clever, sent directly to the Mars, and flew nearer to the Mars and started to work with the satellite of the Mars, Phobos. And noticed, remember, technical activity, the shadow was taken from the orbit. Another thing, you friends, by the way, lost 2 satellites also, which were sent directly behind the sun. Where they are? This is the question.
I was wondering if anyone is manufacturing these wands, or if the specific design is on the website.
We are so constructed, I myself, so constructed that if I'm talking about the instrument or about the pyramid, believe me, I'm like our surgeon, maybe you know this name, Pirogov. When he wants to taste how it works, he allowed to cut off his leg. Yes, yes. I do the same. I checked it by myself with all my people. And we produce it because we know how it works. It should be done precisely. If it's done precisely, that's great. It should be tuned on each person. If not, it works not so we would like to work it. So, okay, thanks.
Would these wands need to be recalibrated quite frequently due to the rising frequency of the Earth?
No, no. The main idea, when they are produced, there are only 2 main reasons. So there is the main reason what for it were constructed. If you would be able to ask an ancient Egyptian priest, hierophants, or knowledgeable pharaoh, listen, what is this? he would tell you that his instrument was designed exactly to prepare the pharaoh for the conversation with the gods with the help of the pyramids. This is the first thing. But as soon as this instrument is affecting deeply human organism, this instrument has so-called side effects. It's very good for the health. But yes, but in reality, it was side effect for them, just side effect. So, I hope I answered your question. Now, if it's not enough, just tell me. I will try to give some more information about it.
No, I think that's answered it. I do know about the wands, but I'm going to have to look into this background a little bit.
Okay, I understood. I'd like to give you some more ideas. This instrument now can be used for two purposes. For healing, just you want to heal something, kind of illnesses. Or you want to use it for self-perfection. For this reason, if you want to use it for self-perfection, it should be done with the special monocrystals. It's interesting thing. I tried to explain it to you as I could. We have noticed that when you talk, the cylinders with the monocrystals, approximately in between 7 or 15 minutes, quartz is scanning your organism and then start to work with the problem in the organism. We noticed long ago that one or another area starts to vibrate or pulsation or something like this, and it moves, and then all organism starts to vibrate. It works like this. At the same time, we noticed that if you use this monocrystal, they help to amplify the power of thought. And we have been lucky that we found a very interesting work done, by the way, by Americans in 1953, which absolutely described the mechanism why quartz in the cylinders in this manner amplify the power of thought. I have this already papers in English language, so in case you want to have more idea or more information about things, well, a little bit later I can give you just whether diskette or print out this information about these types of the wands and mechanisms, how they work, and you can get everything out of there.
Thank you very much for coming.
Welcome.
Thank you for sharing so much with us. I have an easy one for you. Are you permitted to comment on the Russian moon base?
I tell you one thing, honestly. I have all rights to do this.
I'm sorry?
I have all rights to do this. It means if I wish, I can. But I never thought about it.
Think now. Now is the chance.
Okay. Thanks for the very good idea.
I'm opening the door. Our friends in the NSA have told us that it's there, and we have one too. We also have nuclear weapons there. Does your country have nuclear weapons there?
No,
Right.
For sure no, because I know it exactly. And by the way, I can give you a very interesting story. Very short. It happened last year, within the period when I was giving programs on TV. We had 1.5 years, each week, 1.5 hour program. And within the program, when we have been talking about the moon, discussing the age of the moon, we have been called by telephone one guy who was working like who is repairing the cars, just simple person, and he amazed everything who has been near the television. He said, "Listen, you have been talking right now with other persons, and many people wrote books that planet moon is approximately 500 million years old and something like this. He said, listen, did you ever saw the movie that Americans showed from the moon? I know that there are different opinions whether it was or not. This is other question. But do you remember this film? When they gone out of a spacecraft and made a first step on the surface of the moon, they start to run, and you remember it was a dust, right? Dust. Approximately 10 per 15 centimeters, like this, right? Moon have a very weak magnetic field, right? Moon has no atmosphere, right? It means everything can fall on the moon without any problems, right? This amount of the dust can fall on the moon no more than for 5,000 years. And we said, my gosh, truth, absolutely truth, our scientists. And this just worker said, listen, are you blind? Just like this. It means no more than 5,000 years. Actually, a little bit more, but he is absolutely right. When we worked with the ancient texts, and you remember and you know that Egyptians and the other civilization, Chinese, they were very good astronomers. Perfect. We didn't find any mention about the Venus in any text older than 4,000 years. No Venus there. That's the reason. So it means actually they are very young, and somebody produced it. Just drag here, moon dragged, Venus, and our solar system was like rebuilt. And from one, we now have two, consist of two parts. But this is the other story, but very interesting story. Okay.
Zechariah Sitchin mentioned a lot about planet Nibiru having a period of 3,600 years, and now much is being said about the possibility of Planet X coming back into our solar system. What does Russian science have to say about this? Is it imminent? Is it not imminent? Or have you located it? Have you seen it from space?
Yes, we have been discussing also Nibiru, right? What you call like Nibiru, actually, if you will be very precise in reading texts yourself, Valery Sitchin did a nice work, but I always try to say to everybody, try to do this job yourself. Yourself. And you will see that, first of all, later on, nobody will fool you. You get your own idea. Then you will see how it is possible to live on the planet with a period of 3. Come on. Then we know about this planet, but it's a very small one, only 20 kilometers in diameter. 20, with a huge mass. Nobody can live there. And this planet has the name. Its ancient name is, I don't know, do you know it? Hesna. Hesna. This is our previous sun, which died long, long ago. That's why it's so small and with a huge mass. But if you are talking about the planet actually described by Valery Sitchin, whom I respect highly, this is the planet behind the sun, exactly, which is called, we call it Gloria. In America, sometimes you can hear about it like a Clarion. Clarion, maybe you remember, yeah? This is the question. An important thing to always remember, within the 10 years, we will meet them.
Спасибо.
Oh, пожалуйста.
On the one, I don't remember the number of the Russian probe that went to Mars, and they videoed an object coming up from the surface.
Yeah. And by the way, I can give you a short, a very interesting story. by very short. It happened last year within the period when I was giving programs on TV. We had 1.5 years, each week, 1.5 hour program. And within the program, when we have been talking about the moon, discussing the age of the moon, we have been called by telephone one guy who was working like who is repairing the cars. Just simple person, and he amazed everything who has been near the television. He said, listen, you have been talking right now with other persons, and many people wrote books that planet moon is approximately 500 million years old and something like this. He said, listen, did you ever saw the movie that Americans showed from the moon? I know that there are different opinions whether it was or not. This is other question. But do you remember this film? When they gone out of a spacecraft and made a first step on the surface of the moon, they start to run, and you remember it was a dust, right? Dust. Approximately 10 per 15 centimeters, like this, right? Moon have a very weak magnetic field, right? Moon has no atmosphere, right? It means everything can fall on the moon without any problems, right? This amount of the dust can fall on the moon no more than for 5,000 years. And we said, my gosh, truth, absolutely truth, our scientists. And this just worker said, listen, are you blind? Just like this. It means no more than 5,000 years. Actually, a little bit more, but he is absolutely right. When we worked with the ancient texts, and you remember and you know that Egyptians and the other civilization, Chinese, they were very good astronomers. Perfect. We didn't find any mention about the Venus in any text older than 4,000 years. No Venus there. That's the reason. So it means actually they are very young, and somebody produced it. Just dragged here. Moon dragged Venus, and our solar system was like rebuilt. And from one, we now have two, consist of two parts. But this is the other story, but very interesting story. Okay.
Zachariah Sitchin mentioned a lot about planet Nibiru having a period of 3,600 years, and now much is being said about the possibility of Planet X coming back into our solar system. What does Russian science have to say about this? Is it imminent? Is it not imminent? Or have you located it? Have you seen it from space?
Yes, we have been discussing also Nibiru, right? What you call like Nibiru, actually, if you will be very precise in reading texts yourself, Zachariah Sitchin did a nice work, but I always try to say to everybody, try to do this job yourself. Yourself. And you will see that, first of all, later on, nobody will fool you. You get your own idea. Then you will see how it is possible to live on the planet with a period of 3. Come on. Then we know about this planet, but it's a very small one, only 20 kilometers in diameter. 20, with a huge mass. Nobody can live there. And this planet has the name. Its ancient name is, I don't know, do you know it? Hesna. Hesna. This is our previous sun, which died long, long ago. That's why it's so small and with a huge mass. But if you are talking about the planet actually described by Zaharia Sitchin, whom I respect highly. This is the planet behind the sun, exactly, which is called, we call it Gloria. In America, sometimes you can hear about it like a Clarion. Clarion, maybe you remember, yeah? This is the question. An important thing to always remember, within the 10 years, we will meet them.
Спасибо.
Oh, пожалуйста.
On the one, I don't remember the number of the Russian probe that went to Mars, and they videoed an object coming up from the surface.
Yeah.
And what was
Phobos,
that?
Phobos 2.
Phobos 2?
Yeah.
And in further analysis of those videos, could they determine anything about the object that came up? Thank you.
I know the situation from inside, because Space Control Center is in Moscow, and I know many people from there because we are working closely. And they know this case. They have videos. And I can tell you even more than this. Somehow, try to understand, I'm not going to say that if this is like this time. Just a few days, you lost shuttle here.
Tell like it is. Just
and
get it out.
A few years ago, we lost also, but without pilots. When we have been Space Control Center, and I was talking exactly with a person, exactly, who was controlling on computer all what was going on with this spacecraft, okay? We met before the blast-off, maybe 4 months. She's a lady. And when she said, look, we have a program moving to Mars, and we're going to film the sun, I said, you will lose it. You'll lose it. I'm sure you'll lose it. She said, oh, come on, impossible. I said, okay, forgot about it. That day, she said, I'm sitting before the screens, and we're losing. I immediately remembered you. We're losing. When they checked the programs, they saw. I noticed that somehow, somebody or anybody connected to the program which were running according to the blast-off did something, and the rocket fall down in the ocean. It was not done by Earthlings, no. Somebody just somehow affected this process, and we lost the spacecraft.
That was your shot? That was a Russian?
It was not shuttle, it was just a rocket sent to Mars, and we lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have time.
Time's up.
Time's up, okay.
Those moon bases that were implied, were they manned or unmanned?
No, if you're asking again about
those
the
previously mentioned ones with the lady.
No, I can tell you fairly that Russians never tested and even tried to test any nuclear bomb on the moon. Never.
Well, I'm just talking about a base at all. Is that a mechanical, that is a remote controlled base with nobody there, or is it?
We know inside of our group we're absolutely sure that there are some stations on the moon and on the Mars. We noticed its activity more than over. We noticed that the activity of our installation in Valley of Death, I was talking today, somehow is connected with this system on the Mars. They are working like in synchronization. So that's why we're absolutely sure. One of the reasons why some kind of a power do not allow us to go to the Mars exactly because of this reason. Because when we will land on the Mars and made few hundred steps forward, we will see it all.
Yeah. I was referring to a Russian base, like she said.
There is no base Russian on the moon.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, I don't believe that we went to the you know, moon on that, you know, in '69 either, even though I worked for NASA contract.
Well, just very quickly, if you are a government body. So one quick.
We're running out of date.
Thanks, friends.